The air is crisp and cold, and Gerda shivers as she stands outside the barbed wire fence of the concentration camp. She is surrounded by other prisoners, all of them too weak and too stunned to comprehend the magnitude of what has just happened. Suddenly the sound of engines fills the air, and Gerda turns her head to see a convoy of American tanks approaching. Tears spring to her eyes as she realizes that they are being rescued. After years of unimaginable horror, she is finally free. The tanks come to a halt and the soldiers leap out, shouting in a language Gerda doesn't understand. They are dressed in olive drab uniforms and helmets, and they carry rifles slung over their shoulders. Gerda stands motionless, watching as the soldiers fan out across the camp. She is too weak to move, too exhausted to feel anything other than a sense of numbness. One of the soldiers approaches her, his face hidden behind a thick beard and a pair of goggles. He speaks to her in a halting German, asking her if she is all right. Gerda tries to answer, but her throat is too parched, and all that comes out is a raspy croak.
Freedom and liberation came that morning when I stood in this doorway of that abandoned factory. And the reality of that came when I saw the white star on its hood and not the swastika.
I saw some skeletal figures trying to get some water from a hand pump, but over on the other side, leaning next to against the wall next to the entrance of the building, I saw a girl standing, and I decided to go walk up to her.
I remember that aura of that awe, of the disbelief in daylight, to really see someone who fought for our freedom, for my ideals, and he looked like God to me.
And I asked her in German and in English whether she spoke either language, and she answered me in German.
And I knew what I had to say. And I said to him, "We are Jewish, you know." For a very long time, at least to me it seemed very long, he didn't answer me. And then his own voice betrayed his emotion. He was wearing dark glasses, I couldn't see his eyes. He said, "So am I."
For the first time in years, she feels a glimmer of hope. The soldier smiles at her, and Gerda feels a flutter in her chest.
I asked about her companions.
He said, "May I see the other ladies?" A form of address we hadn't heard for 6 years. I told him that most of the girls were inside, they were too ill to walk. And he said to me, "Won't you come with me?" I didn't know what he meant. So he held the door open for me and let me precede him. And that was the moment of restoration, of humanity, of humaneness, of dignity, of freedom.
We went inside the factory. It was an indescribable scene. There were women scattered over the floor on scraps of straw, some of them quite obviously with a mark of death on their faces.
I took him to see my friends.
The girl who was my guide made sort of a sweeping gesture over this scene of devastation and said the following words: "Noble be man, merciful and good." And I could hardly believe that she was able to summon a poem by the German poet Goethe, which is called The Divine, at such a moment. And there was nothing that she could have said that would have underscored the grim irony of the situation better than what she did.
And this first young American of Liberation Day is now my husband. He opened not only the door for me, but the door to my life and my future.
For Gerda, Kurt will always be the man who saved her. the one who brought her back from the brink of despair and showed her that there is still goodness in the world, even in the darkest of times. Growing up in South Africa, small Jewish community, almost everyone in that community had someone who they'd lost in the Holocaust. The message which I take out of the story of Gerda is that no matter how difficult the situation is, there's always a much bigger picture.